Elko Enterprises, the home of the Wizards, is proud to introduce the new path of least resistance for your welded wire dispensing, the Wire Guide Module system. The Wire Wizard Guide Module, or WGM, is revolutionizing traditional methods of feeding weld wire, and in turn helping reduce unnecessary downtime and/or premature consumable wear and failure. By the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of how your weld cell is actually working against you, and how the Wire Guide Module can easily correct difficult feeding applications. The Wire Wizard Guide Module system was developed with both performance and size in mind. Our patented design can easily be installed in any dispensing system and helps transform pull forces of pounds into just ounces. The Wire Wizard Guide modules can also optimize and reduce the floor space necessary by placing the wire packages in closer or further proximities to the welding area without creating a problematic wire feeding situation. What real-world benefits can be documented with the Wire Guide modules? The WGM package provides a smooth, consistent wire feed that can help improve the weld bead appearance, reduce burnbacks, lessen amperage draw on the main feed motor, and greatly increase conduit and/or consumable life, all from greatly reducing the friction coefficient during the weld wire feeding. This diagram denotes skid friction. Skid friction occurs at every point the wire makes contact with the conduit sidewall. As the wire travels through a bend radius or a plane change, the wire is making constant contact with the conduit. This contact is what translates into the pull force required to move the wire to the main feed motor, down to the contact tip, and will eventually lead to conduit and liner wear. The elimination of skid friction is achieved through the use of a series of rollers located internally within the guide module system. As the wire moves across the rollers in a radius, anywhere skid friction occurs, the roller will spin and thus eliminates the friction that occurs with traditional dispensing systems. The pull force required to dispense the wire is initially derived from how the wire is packaged. Spools, fiber drums, and wooden reels all require a different amount of effort to pull wire up the conduit to begin its transport to the cell. The starting point, or static friction, is the first variable to the dispensing system and will be the base number for the compounding. Through every 90-degree radius the wire is moved through, every ounce of wire weight will be multiplied approximately 2.5 times in a typical conduit system. The Wire Guide module is almost a perfect 1-to-1 ratio, which completely eliminates the bend radius multiplier. The rollers located within each guide module are made of a shielded roller bearing that has been pressed into a U-groove polymer guide wheel. This allows the weld wire to easily spin the wheel when friction occurs and coast through the bend radius. The use of a polymer guide wheel means it can be used for both ferrous and non-ferrous alloy wires without the concern of contamination. The 45-degree sectional design allows the interlinking of multiple guide modules together to create a radius of 45, 90, or 135 degrees or greater. Various connectors and universal mounting options are available for easy integration at different locations or angles in the conduit run. The guide module can be easily placed at the wire source, a fixed point on the weld cell, or anywhere in line of the wire feed system while remaining completely insulated. To fully address all potential welding applications and processes, the WGM is available in two sizes. The standard model is designed with a 10-inch radius and is suitable for wires up to 3/32 of an inch in diameter. The large guide module boasts a 16-inch radius and steel guide wheels for greater durability and stress. The large guide module can be used for wires from 1/8 of an inch up to and including 5/32 of an inch in diameter. Here we see an internal view of the standard version of the Wire Wizard Guide module. The outer body is precision molded from a highly durable and extremely lightweight proprietary blend of polymers that allows for a long service life. You can also see the wire pathway leading the wire across the 7 shielded roller bearings that will reduce the skid friction in the radius as the wire moves through the guide module. All square shoulders have been removed internally to allow a smooth wire feed and prevent wire hang-ups whether restringing weld wire or feeding wire during the welding operation. Each guide module can accommodate a variety of connection styles for your conduits, including threaded compression connectors, quick disconnects, and many other adapters as needed for virtually any combination of guide modules and layouts within a wire dispensing system. Over the next few slides, we will take a look at some before and after scenarios with the WireWizard guide modules in use. You may want to pay particular attention at how the guide module creates a clean, steady radius that reduces the friction points as compared to traditional weld wire conduit layout. Each guide module comes completely assembled and ready to add your appropriate size end cap kit or interlink additional guide modules with the included hardware. By simply removing the 3 center bolts, the guide module can easily be separated to access the internal rollers and wire pathway. The shielded roller bearings on the standard guide module unit have been pressed into a polymer U-groove wheel to allow the use with both ferrous and non-ferrous materials up to 3/32 of an inch in diameter. The locating pins ensure proper placement of the rollers, create repeatability, and makes reassembly easy should servicing ever be needed. Every WireWizard guide module, or grouping of modules, requires an end cap kit to properly attach your weld wire conduits or guide module mounting adapters. Each guide module end cap kit comes complete with both an A and a B end cap, as well as all necessary assembly hardware. The terms A and B end cap kit will be referenced from this time forward. It may be necessary during installation to make a note. 3 sizes of threaded inserts are available depending on the chosen end cap kit. End cap kit sizes available include 1/4 inch NPS female thread, 3/8 inch NPS female thread, and 1/2 inch NPS female thread. Here is a standard assembly for a 90-degree section using 2 45-degree modules, an end cap kit, and the interlinking bushings which are included with each system. To assemble, simply insert the interlink bushing between the 2 45-degree sections and slide the male end of one guide module into the female end of the other guide module. Using the supplied hardware, insert the bolts into the holes at the union point of both guide modules, thread the nuts onto the bolts, and tighten. The 90-degree module is already halfway assembled, and it is clear how the wire will be transported through the joined modules. We can now attach the end cap kit to each end of the guide module assembly. Fully insert the end cap bushing into the guide module on the male end of the guide module. Slide the end cap labeled A over the male end of the guide module. Repeat this step for the opposite end of the guide module system using the end cap labeled B with the female end of the guide module assembly. Please note, when inserting any of the interlink bushings, please ensure the tapered inner diameter end of the bushing always faces the wire source. This will prevent the wire from becoming stuck on the square shoulder of the bushing and allow a smoother transition between modules and the end cap kits. Next, using the supplied hardware with the end cap kit, insert the bolts into each end cap and tighten them. Now that we have completed our 90-degree wire guide module system, we can properly attach conduits to the guide modules. One of the most effective ways to connect multiple modules within the conduit run is to use a compression connector between the modules and only use quick disconnects at the wire source and feeder inlet side. With both the blue polymer and extra flexible conduits, it is always a good practice to deburr and chamfer the inner diameter of the conduits prior to putting them into operation. This prevents wire hang-ups, wear points, and in the case of the flexible conduits, possible wire shaving. As we insert the compression connector into the end cap, you'll notice the interlink bushing showing in the bottom of the end cap. Please ensure this is pressed fully in against the stop point in the wire pathway. Thread the compression connector into the cap and tighten. Next, slide the D-bird conduit fully into the compression connector until it stops against the interlink bushing in the end cap. Once you feel it flush against the interlink bushing, mark the conduit. Pull the conduit back out approximately 1/4 of an inch. This will allow the conduit room to move into the end cap as the compression nut tightens. Repeat the same steps with the other end cap on the guide module system. We now have a fully functional 90-degree Wire Wizard guide module system for use in your weld wire dispensing system. Please remember that not only can you use the Wire Wizard guide module system with compression connectors for both Wizard Tough polymer and extra flexible conduits, but you always have the option to use a quick disconnect and conduit bayonet combination if your application calls for it. When changing angles or planes in a conduit run becomes necessary, the Union Adapter Kit is an excellent way to join two guide module systems together and adjust them to your desired angle. Simply assemble two separate guide module systems and install end cap kits on each of them, as seen here, with the A end cap of one module facing the B end cap of the other module. Thread the nut and washer onto each end of the universal adapter kit. Make sure the washer faces the guide modules and the nut on each side is close to the center of the Union Adapter Kit. Insert one of the ends of the Union Adapter Kit into one of the end caps and turn slightly until it is fully threaded. Repeat the same step on the opposite side of the Union Adapter. Adjust the guide modules to create your desired angle or plane changes and tighten each jam nut. When installing a drum mounting kit, first insert and tighten the attachment probe into the A end cap of a guide module system. Place the large black flange on the top of the drum cover with a small washer in the top of the flange mounting hole. Insert the guide module and the attachment probe through the flange. Using the direct pull dispenser body, insert it through the window of the cover, thread it onto the guide module attachment probe, and tighten. Two models of an adjustable extension arm allow users to mount a guide module to a weld cell and adjust the distance away from the cell wall in distances 10 to 20 inches away. Each adjustable arm includes a locking pin and hinge point that allows an operator to raise and lower the arm during a wire changeout. A conduit is normally run vertically from the drum cover quick disconnect and is attached to a guide module. During a wire changeout, the operator simply disconnects the quick disconnect at the drum point, removes the locking pin, raises the arm, and replaces the locking pin to hold it up and allow a quick and easy wire changeout. Upon starting the wire into the conduit, the operator can lower the extension arm and lock the conduit back into the quick disconnect at the drum cover. Whenever feeding a wire 62 thousandths of an inch and smaller, it is always a good idea to create a loop in the end of the wire and flatten it. This creates a rounded edge to help guide the wire through the guide module and all of the connectors. If a wire is larger than 62 thousandths, using a Dremel tool or a file to create a rounded end works the best. To allow weld wire to smoothly pass through a solid or cage-type weld cell wall, a fully insulated wall mount kit is available. This system will prevent wear and rubbing on the outer diameter of a conduit when it is necessary to pass through the wall. Installation is simple. Insert the male threaded portion of the union probe through a small silver washer and the large union flange. Place the insulator bushing over the threaded portion of the union probe on the side of the union flange that is placed against the cell wall. Repeat the same steps for the other side of the cell wall mount kit. Thread the union probes together and tighten. Place one guide module assembly on the cell wall with the end cap labeled A facing the cell wall and tighten onto the union probe. Repeat the same steps for the other side of the guide module assembly ensuring that end cap labeled A is again facing the cell wall. If you would like flexibility in a guide module mounted directly to the drum cover, we have created a guide module swivel kit. This kit allows a guide module to be mounted directly to the drum cover, but also have the flexibility of a 360-degree rotation on top of the drum cover. Installation is simple. It mounts in the same fashion as our standard drum mounting kit. As with our standard drum mounting kit, ensure you have end cap A facing the drum cover to allow the proper attachment to the wire guide module. A wide array of mounting options are available to allow you to use the WireWizard guide modules in virtually any application and scenario. Modules of any radius can be hard mounted to a cell wall, tubing, or even suspended overhead with a retractable conduit hanger. Now we will take a quick look at some ways these mounts can be used in real-life examples. At Elco Enterprises, we are always striving to ensure our customers' complete satisfaction. Therefore, we collect data and feedback from customers on occasion to share, and to improve our products when necessary. Here we have collected data from 3 different customers, all with different processes and system layouts. In our first example, this customer is a Tier 1 automotive supplier who is welding in a robotic application using 45 thousandths solid MIG wire. The total length of the conduit needed for the run was 30 feet in length, with multiple turns, bends, and plane changes. In our pull test prior to installing the guide module system, it required an average of 4.5 pounds worth of force by the feed motor to pull the wire through the dispensing system. After installing 3 45-degree modules and 1 90-degree module, and eliminated the excessive loops in the conduit run, the wire guide modules allowed a decrease of 3.75 pounds of force. This translated into a mere 12 ounces of force at the feed motor to pull the weld wire through the conduit system. The second example is an agricultural equipment manufacturer who is using 52 thousandths carbon MIG wire on a robotic weld cell. The original dispensing system run was 25 feet in length and required 3 turns in the dispensing system conduit run. The initial pull, on average, required by the feed motor to move the wire through the conduit system was 8 pounds. 2 90-degree and 1 45-degree module assembly were installed. Final testing following installation of the WireWizard guide module system showed an average pull force requirement of only 12 ounces. This equals a 7.25 pound decrease in the force required by the feed motor to pull the wire. Our final example is an OEM automotive manufacturer who is using 35 thousandths diameter solid steel wire in a robotic application. The original conduit run was 30 feet in length and required 4 turns, of which 2 were 180-degree turns at the robot, creating a pigtailing effect up to the feeder. Initial pull force tests showed an enormous 15.4 pounds of force by the feed motor to pull the wire through the conduit system. To create a clean and efficient dispensing system, a 135-degree module system from the drum top, a 45-degree module partway through the run, and then joining two 45-degree modules with a union adapter at the robot were installed to turn the conduit up to the feed motor. After all modifications had been completed, a final pull force test was done. An astonishing decrease of 14.1 pounds of force was realized. This translates into the pull force required by the feed motor to pull the wire through the conduit system, decreasing from 15.4 pounds to only 1.3 pounds on average. Thank you for your interest in the WireWizard Guide Module system, as well as for your time. If you would like more information or would like your own WireWizard Guide Module consultation, please contact your local Elco Enterprises technical representative or our main office at 866-584-7281 or by visiting www.wire-wizard.com.